was never really good playing role of the puppet. Too busy being me, to be concerned with perception of the public. Everyone is buzzing, but everybody ain't thinking about a budget. I want ownership in something. Niggas get their way.
Alrighty, y'all. So yesterday I was able to speak to Wayne Burrow, who worked with Miss Violetta Wallace, who is the mother of Biggie Smalls and managing her son's estate. Now he reached out to me, or I reached out to him, and then he was like, okay, I'm willing to get on the phone with you, because he says that a lot of people have been blowing them up following this documentary. And he wanted to speak out, and he made it clear that this is on behalf of Miss Violetta Wallace. He says there are a few allegations that he wanted to address from the doc. So number one, there's this allegation from the documentary that Diddy used Biggie's record label deal, or his own money, Biggie's own money, to pay for Biggie's funeral. So Wayne tells me that that is completely not true, that he himself officiated the funeral and planned it along with Kirk Burrows, who is in the documentary, Bad Boy staff, and that Bad Boy paid for everything. At no point was there any indication that any royalty statement that this would be coming from Biggie's account. So the family never paid for anything in regards to the funeral. He said Bad Boy and Diddy covered everything from the cars to the police, to the funeral itself. And they wanted to make that clear. And he also says that it's disrespectful that anybody would even imply that, you know, Miss Wallace, Biggie's mom, or any of his close friends would even be that naive to allow something like that to happen and not catch it as they're watching the royalty statements and just different things that are coming in. He also talked to me a bit about the contract conversation. So there is a claim in the doc, and this has been a claim that's been circulating for some time, that right before Biggie's passing, there was an issue with contract negotiations between Diddy and Biggie Smalls. He says that that is completely not true as well. He says that life after death was already done, so there was no contract negotiations happening. He says based on the sales and of the records and how everything was moving, Biggie had already recouped. So at that point, there was nothing to be talked about. But they did go back into a negotiation because they put out more music following the death of Biggie Smalls, and the conversation they had then was just about how that would happen and, you know, how splits would be. But that whole conversation around the contract and there being an issue with that as well, there's nothing to talk about. He says the contract was the contract and people just need to leave it at that.
And Barrow is Biggie's friend. He also managed Biggie at one point. He owned a remember that the what was it called? Oh, Jesus Christ. By Storm Entertainment. That's what they ran, which was a management company. I think they managed Shine at one point. They managed Nas at one point. They managed, of course, B.I.G. So he would know, right?
You mean Wayne Burrow?
Wayne Burrow. Yeah,
yes. He actively, up until the point that Miss Wallace passed away, was still involved in the estate, and he was saying that they had a process that they would do and it was Miss Wallace's wishes that they would do it this way, where they're not checking accounts and royalty statements just one time. She checked everything twice. It was very important for her to make sure that the money and everything was like paid attention to very heavily, because she wanted to make sure they didn't owe anybody anything, that they weren't up under anybody, and that they weren't being taken advantage of, because she wanted to make it where Biggie's kids and her grandkids could live a good life after he passed away and after she left this earth.
Would she be paying attention to something that happened so long ago, though, like in 1997, a funeral?
They said they was on it as soon as Big passed. They said they were on top of every last dime dollar, because they wanted to make sure that the kids would be straight for life.
Yeah, she said that was really important to her, even down to the fact that when they decided not to go back into a deal after they knew that Biggie recouped, that was her decision to do that. So she has been on it since. And he did say to me that the only reason why he's addressing this, he's not going to speak to anybody else, but he wanted to speak to us, and only wanted to address it because it's not fair for the people who, you know, are an extension of Biggie's legacy to have to be dealing with a lot of these rumors and these different allegations resurfacing when they're just trying to live their life. And this is actually family to someone lost a father, and you know, so it's...
Why wouldn't he tell the documentary makers, though? Because I'm sure the documentary makers reached out to the estate. Like, when you're doing a documentary on the level of this documentary, I am almost positive that they reached out to Biggie's estate to ask questions.
He said he didn't want to be bothered until he didn't have a choice but to be bothered.
Oh, well, that's ridiculous, because now that whatever he's saying, I don't know if that's the truth or not. I don't know if those are facts, but I know the narrative, because of the documentary, is way bigger than anything that he could put out now.
I think they also told Lauren that they hate the fact that Biggie's name is mentioned in all this BS, that they didn't want Biggie's name in this bull crap, and that was a part of it. But like what Charlemagne also said, like, you know, salute to Wayne, he's actually been on the show, but what's the other guy's name?
Kirk.
If Kirk was doing the financing and he was the one that was paying the people,
he would know.
It was like, it's kind of like both sides, you know what I mean? Because you can hide money, right? You can say that, that we really paid for this producer, but it went to this. I mean, but there's no ways but.
And you can't discredit Kirk because Kirk was the co-founder of Bad Boy and the president at the time. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's always 2-3 sides to a story, so I'm just here to present them all as much as I can.
You already told us which one you believe.
No, I presented it first, and then you asked me a question. I can believe what I can believe.
So Kirk and Wayne cousins.
They're spelled differently. So Wayne and Kirk is spelled differently. The borough, yeah.
Hey, these Diddy leftovers have lasted longer than Thanksgiving.
That's right.
Okay?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, right. He's capping.
Come on. Do you remember when Dame Dash came on Breakfast Club and said 50 was capping about the Diddy documentary? That's the conversation.
Yes, absolutely. Do you remember when 50 Cent was supposed to be putting out a documentary about Puff on Netflix?
So 50 Cent in Alexandria, who is working with him on this documentary, sat down with Robin Roberts and Good Morning America to talk about Sean Combs' The Reckoning, which is a new documentary that he is bringing to Netflix about Diddy and everything that has been happening over this last year or so. And it airs tonight at midnight, so December 2nd. It's live on Netflix. It's a 4-part series. Now, they talk about a lot of things. So first, you get to see some of the footage that 50 Cent was able to obtain that was never before seen, and these are the days leading up until when Diddy was arrested. But in the actual documentary, you get to go more into those days with him. Now, here is the crazy part about all this. Diddy had a video person, a photographer that was always with him.
Right.
These couple days, that video person sent someone and didn't come on his own. From what I'm being told by his team, he had a legal agreement with that videographer, photographer. They're not for sure if it covers this person that would have sold or whatever, however 50 Cent obtained this footage. There was also a disagreement between Diddy and this person who shot this footage. This guy was never paid, and they didn't find that out, his attorneys, until this documentary dropped. So all of that stuff, edited, unedited, that was shot in that time, they are, I mean, if they bought it and they own it the right way, and Diddy's team is still checking that out, it's there to be used. So we are about to see some things that I'm sure if he was in control of, we might not have seen. Now, they also get into the fact that people are saying 50 Cent is just trying to take Diddy or add on to what Diddy is going through because it's personal.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
What they consider a pre-existing beef, right, for 20 years, is me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester, like maybe you'll come play with me type of thing, and it's not personal.
Was that the whole context of what 50 said? Did you edit something? I need to hear the whole context.
Crazy.
That's hilarious.
That's it. But y'all know 50 Cent is also, he's being a little humorous at the same time.
Of course.
We don't know that. And for all we know, Diddy really made him feel uncomfortable when Diddy said he wanted to take him shopping.
You've been talking
and
about
by the way,
that for years.
50 has been talking about that for years. Remember, Diddy was up here and Diddy was like he wanted to take 50 shopping.
50 stupid to it. That's one of the people you don't play with. If you got problems with him, you got problems with him for life.
So a lot of people have been talking about whether this turns another bad light onto hip hop and hip hop being attacked, and like why 50 Cent wants to be the person that adds into this. Let's take a listen to 50 talk about that.
Do you think that hip-hop culture was on trial as much as Sean Combs was?
Look, if I didn't say anything, you would have interpreted it as the hip-hop is fine with his behaviors. There's no one else being vocal. So you would look at it and just say, because that mind your business, or let me not say nothing about nothing, or those things, it would allow the entire culture to register as if they're for that behavior.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time. I mean, he may feel a different way about pieces and bits of it, but he knows the truth. I think he'll see the truth in it.
Yo, this has nothing to do with hip hop, and I hate when they do that. Like when Harvey Weinstein is on trial, nobody says, "Well, is this Hollywood on trial?" No, and when Abercrombie and Fitch guys on trial, nobody says, "Is the clothing industry on trial?" Like, no, this has nothing to do with hip hop. No. This was one man's choices. That's it. This is about Diddy and nothing else. This ain't got nothing to do with no damn hip hop. But I hate when they do that.
I'm sure you're gonna see a bunch of lawsuits, because if that guy worked for Diddy and he sold that footage to somebody else, he had to be under contract, right?
Well,
there had to be stipulations, because there's no way Diddy's gonna have people around him that he does not own that footage. I can't see I can't see that.
That was the first question I asked.
Would you make a mistake that big?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and then how the hell are you gonna let him just leave with the footage?
So
that footage come with me. That SD card come with me.
So I don't have any confirmations of any legal action as of yet, but the statement that I received from Diddy's team says that we have confirmed that Netflix used footage that was never authorized for release, including private moments. the footage was created for an entirely different purpose under an agreement that was never completed. So for background information, what I was told was that Diddy's team says that there was supposed to have been a conversation between Netflix and Diddy, and he was recording footage, Diddy, to do his own documentary. But once he was told he was not going to have full creative control, he backed out of the situation with Netflix. And they believe that this is some of the footage that was being used for that. But from what I was told, there's a contract with the original photographer, videographer, but they don't know if it covers this guy yet. So they're still trying to sort that out to see if there's any legal steps that they can take.
And then I wonder who, if legal steps are taken, do they go after the videographer? Because he's the one that allegedly sold it, right? So they would have to go after him because they made the deal with him, correct? Maybe not.
What does it matter? The doc's already coming out.
Yeah, it's coming out. You're gonna see it, even if it's pulled down. You're gonna watch it. Yeah,
everybody gonna watch it tomorrow. They're gonna record it, and plus it's Netflix, right? Netflix ain't even gonna put that out unless they've already crossed all their T's.
Dotted their T's, dotted their I's, crossed the T's.
Dotted their T's, huh?
I said cross the T's and dot the I's. You said dotted the T's. I said cross the T's, dot the I's.
No T's.
And crossing no I's.
I said cross the T's and dot the I's.
Who the hell cross-eyed? You always trying to throw shots at Lauren.
my God.
I'm sick of it.
What?
Wow.
What?
How I get in this?
What?
How I get in this?
I'm just sick of this, Lauren.
And then
I got your back.
No legal action can happen from it, though, right? That's it.
No, well, I don't know because they don't know yet what were the terms and not the terms or all that. But they did tell me that their legal team is formally notifying Netflix of the fact that they feel like that this was unauthorized use of, like, you know, all the things that they just said.
Yeah, like Charlotte says, too late.
Yeah,
Netflix ain't putting this out unless they have
already
done all their due
diligence.
diligence.
It's over. It's a wrap.
But y'all know he got this appeal coming up, so I don't know character-wise how this might help because a judge and anybody like this.
And that was my point.
Yeah, and I asked that, and they said, "Listen, not legally, but judges are human, and maybe they get some emotional spirit out of this and render a decision based on some of that." Which
this is another video for the channel, man. This is Jim CB reporting the news, coming at you again. So Tuesday midnight, I believe around midnight, the Diddy documentary, Sean Combs' The Reckoning, drops on Netflix. It's, I guess, a partnership between 50 Cent and Netflix, right? 50's signed as an executive producer. But there's backstory, of course. They say the cameraman wasn't paid, and it was actually Diddy's. Diddy hired a guy for work, film him before he was going in for sentencing and before he was going to turn himself in and things like that, right? Before he actually got arrested and went to prison. So there's that, and the guy wasn't paid, and so he took the footage and sold it to the highest bidder, which was Netflix. And to help promote, they say that they attached 50 Cent on and executive producing. Why wouldn't 50 do that when 50 been taking shots at Diddy for a while, right? For whatever reason, whether it be personal, whether it be, hey, we don't do these type of things in hip hop, whether it be, hey, he tried to take 50 Cent shot, and whatever 50 Cent reason was, we knew he was not going to pass up an opportunity to be Petty Cent. Petty Cent is what I call him. But yeah, so it comes out, right? We watch it and we learn things, right? We knew things, but then we learned things, right? Didn't know about Miss Dickerson Neal from 1991. I didn't know about that case. That was tragic. She was in tears. Of course, we've heard Mark Carey speak before. We've heard Gene Deal speak before. We've heard Roger Bonds speak before. We've had numerous people come out. We've had Kirk Burrows speak out before, right? So it gets to a point in the documentary where they're talking about Biggie and the inception of Bad Boy Records and Craig Mack. And we know when he went to Clive, he packaged it. One side was Biggie, the other side was Craig Mack, and he made it like Big Mac in a McDonald's box, and he played him some Biggie and played him some Craig Mack, and rest in peace to both of those gentlemen. But they were the start of Bad Boy Records. You don't get Bad Boy without, let me say that, 3 individuals who is solely responsible for the rise of Bad Boy Records in the start, right? If he don't get the internship and start the job at Uptown Records with Andre Harrell, he doesn't get an opportunity to even be near the business, right? So there's that, right? There's the Uptown Records connection. There's Andre Harrell firing him, letting him keep Biggie, right? Then Biggie and Craig Mack, the deal, Clive Davis, we know how that gets started. But when it comes to this funeral situation where and I see it's become a thing online, right? And it's back and forth, and Kirk Burroughs said things one way. And again, Gene Dale has always mentioned that name, Kirk Burroughs. And I remember Kirk Burroughs did an interview not too long ago with, I forget what platform. It could have been Art of Dialogue. It could have been one of those. I think it was Art of Dialogue. I don't want to be wrong, but it could have been Art of Dialogue or Cam Capone. Could have been somebody. It was somebody on that end, right? That we're used to seeing. But I believe it's Art of Dialogue. So Kirk Burroughs was interviewed, right? And he came out was speaking after Gene Dale spoke out. But every time Gene Dale spoke out, Gene Dale's story stayed consistent, right? Over the years. Now, in his story, the first big break in Gene Dale's story, the first time we really heard him speak in depth was the last big night, and that was done with MREC TV. So the story has been here, right? People have been covering it. People have been interviewed. It's been documented. Some of the business tactics that he would, do. Like he went and gave everybody their publishing back not too long ago, right? And when you think about that, it's like, hey, this should have been done in the first place, right? You might want to judge that. But to be honest, if you're around somebody like Clive Davis and he's teaching you business, we know that those situations and how they move in the 10 cents a record type of thing going way back when, we know how the music business was started. We know what came with the music business as far as the mafia and all that. And so when you teach that type of business, right, that old money type of business, that, hey, cut cost any way you can, right? Now, if the royalties are coming to Bad Boy Records, every day you're getting statements. Kirk Burroughs is in there, co-president, co-founder, whatever have you. He's in there. He knows what's going on, writing everything down, knows what's going on in the numbers. Conversations are being had with Biggie and Puff and him and lawyers without other people, and Biggie's representation always being present, right? We can see that early 90s, right? How Big had to sell back, and this came from Gene Dale, when he had to sell back Diddy some of his publishing to get the money to build Miss Wilder's house, right? That has been a thing. Gene Dale has mentioned that for years, right? And how he had Biggie publishing, and Biggie wanted to leave, and certain deals and things were renegotiated, right? We know. So when they go on in the Breakfast Club and they have and Lauren LaRosa has her conversation with Wayne Barrow. Wayne Barrow is the, let me get this straight, he is the person running or heading up or dealing with Biggie's estate and Miss Wilder's before she passed. That's his role. He was also Big's manager at one point, but also Mark Pitts used to be Biggie's manager as well. So I don't know when Wayne Barrow entered the picture per se, but it could be some time beforehand. But anyway, they say that Diddy used Biggie's own money to pay for the funeral. Now, if that money's coming in every day, Bad Boy Records, and Kirk Burroughs is seeing what's going on, boom, boom, and Diddy says what he says to make the money work, where, hey, we paid for it, but make that a recoupable asset, right? So in face value, right, and with Wayne Burroughs could have said, hey, me and Kirk Burroughs and the Bad Boy staff, we planned the funeral, we took care of all the officiating, the arrangements, and this, that, and the third. That may be true, but when it comes to finance and when it comes to money and somebody cutting that check, you may not have been in the loop on that part. So as far as Wayne Burroughs concerned, everything was on the up and up. that's not right. You know, they're trying to tarnish Diddy, and not to say that either party is wrong. I'm just saying that my opinion could be two things could be true at once, right? Because if what Wayne Burrow was saying is true, it directly conflicts the statement that Kurt Burrows made, the president and co-founder of Bad Boy Records, right? You see how, okay, you'd imagine you wouldn't know everything that me and Diddy talked about. That would be Kurt Burrows' side, right? And the only one to counter any of this would be Diddy. Did he make a statement? Pretty, hey, listen, that ain't how that went. This, that, that, third. He explained it. That statement is either going to align with Kurt Burrows' statement or Wayne Burrows' statement, right? But Diddy has already said this documentary is totally, he disagreed with this joint. He ain't even jacking half of the stuff that's in. He don't want no parts. You know, this illegal, the footage was obtained illegal, all that. Diddy's on that square, so he don't want nothing to do with none of this. So right now it's between A and B, and you make that statement in the documentary. Now the documentary is giving you mostly the negative that we know, right? And then with some extra sprinkled in details. They've been trying to put this Tupac case on Diddy forever, right? Problem with that is the paper trail. It's not there. If everything was in cash and Zip's gone, Orlando Anderson gone, Tupac, it's too many missing pieces to corroborate anything, so it's hard to send. So all you got is Keefe D's testimony against Keefe D, right? If nobody's backing this story, and he has nobody to come out and say, hey, I was in the car. Everybody else in the car that was in that car, supposedly been in that car, is gone, right? The man who allegedly gave Keefe D the gun is gone. So who can change this narrative? Like, he's stuck with the story that he told in these interviews, and that's unfortunate for him, but there's nothing that could prove or disprove anything unless somebody from the bad boy side knows something and they come out and say, hey, I was a part of this, that, and the third, but then they would implement themselves criminally. So at the end of the day, it's one of those shaky situations.
And with those shaky situations, we also have to look at the fact that, hey, they sold us this big Rico, that he was guilty of all these crazy crimes, right? And he did all these horrible things, right? And then we know the Tony Busby or the lawyer situations and stuff like that. Not to say that he didn't do bad business at some point, right? We're not shooting no bad, right? Not to say that you don't beat women, that shit is trash, okay? Not to say that you don't abuse women, that's just trash, right? But we know that the powers that be, everybody has to forward their career in some shape or form. We know that, hey, to get the convictions we want, we know that they play these games where they upscale your charge, right? They push it, they make it sound worse than it is, right? You're guilty of something, but they make it sound worse, right? So with the RICO and the sex trafficking and things like that, we know how that could be. So now we all know, as ladies, gentlemen, or the public, we know that, okay, I met this girl in Dallas. I take her from Dallas, fly her to NY. We do the nasty, and I give her some bread and send her back. We already know that that's trafficking across state lines. It's the way they're going to look at it. It's prostitution across state lines. It's the way they're going to look at it. That's going to be a federal charge, right? That's one thing, right? Criminal organization, continuing criminal enterprise, RICO. That's where there's a whole organization dedicated to illegal activity and moving around and facilitating different things to get certain things done. That's kind of hard, like, to do, especially when you have a name like that. So he just uses money, power, influence to be nasty and pay for prostitutions and wild sex shit going on. That's just what that is, right? That's one thing. And then you want to put the murder on there. I do think that he's done some shady things, like outside of just what he's been charged, convicted, and things like that for. I do think the record industry shady, stealing, publishing, moving around funds, spending money for this one thing, but putting it in the account under studio expense or a charitable act, yeah, you can kind of move. So if you're used to playing with money and maneuvering and moving numbers and writing everything down and documenting this, there's a way that, because when that money comes in for them Life After Death albums, that Diamond album, let's call it what it is, and the amount of money that album brought in, right? Let's say they paid $50,000 for the funeral, $100,000 for the funeral, the gas, the cars, and all of these things, right? That's an easy $100,000 you could pull from those royalties that came back long before the family sees it, right? Long before it sees it, right? So at the end of the day, when you're looking at that and you're thinking about that, you're like, hey, wait a minute, this could have been a possibility. Not to say that, hey, Kurt Burrows is definitely telling the truth, because they fell out, right? They fell out, and I believe. And then you also think about it like this, like say if you go on the side of Wayne Burrow, right? I want to admit publicly that I let my client, the artist family, get played out of a certain amount. This is crazy. Don't nobody want to tell that story necessarily. Who wants to tell that? For one, y'all all look bad, right? Because just take care of business, man. That man gone. Take care of business. See, the thing was, and what nobody talks about, where the most fault is, the being in LA, period, right? From anybody from Bad Boy, anybody from the Biggie estate, anybody from, like, yeah, rappers have said it, podcasters have said it. So many people have said, hey, they shouldn't have been out in LA after that happened to Tupac, this, that, and the third, right? But again, it's ego. It's, oh yeah, we ain't got this to worry about because such as ain't here, we can move free. Like, it's the freedom of thinking that, hey, everything's sweet now. Everything's okay. The other side is kind of, we know when it's the ego, see, I get the last laugh, and then you don't, because, you lose too. So at the end of the day, if you look at it from that perspective, the assets weren't protected. Tupac should have been put back in that car. Biggie should have been, y'all should just let Biggie go to London, you know what I'm saying? Because you could have pushed that project back, right? Keep doing videos, finish promoting Life After Death. And I believe at that time you probably had to go to LA or you had to go out west. But even if you got to go out west, right, you got to go to certain places, right? Maybe not LA, maybe other parts of California, right, where it's not so. But LA was at that time with that beef, and well, it wasn't even beef. It was just a lot of misunderstandings, and then the whole. I think once Tupac died, it really became a thing. But before that, it was just two camps, a couple of people beefing here and there. It really wasn't. The media made it more than what it was, right? So again, when you're looking at that, you're thinking about that whole ordeal. Small things got blown to the big things, and they all blew out of proportion, right? And we had two of arguably the greatest rappers gone forever. Can't get them back, right? We got CEOs who companies completely crumble at the death of certain artists, right? Due to bad business, bad management, and just always feel like we always gonna be on top, right? Because nobody did a pivot move, right? Diddy did a good job of pivoting during that time. Okay, boom, all my artists is leaving, everything is getting crazy, so he made himself the artist. I feel like a CEO, executive, that's your role you need to be in office. You know what I mean? Not party promoting, pay other people to do those things, right? Go settle down with the wife, kids, whatever you gonna do. Make business decisions, let the money stack, right? That's what you got other people for, right? I don't need to be in the limelight promoting the party, dancing in the videos. I don't need to be right next to the artist smoking a cigar, because they both were guilty of the same thing. It's just one made it look crazier than the other. So it's like, okay, boom. He jumped on stage. Suge Knight jumped on stage at the Source Awards. You want to worry about CEO dancing in videos, kind of death row, right? But then you also think about that, right? Every time you turn around, Suge Knight standing next to who? Tupac, Snoop, smoking a cigar, red suit, talking on the camera, right? You got Diddy, yeah, because we don't do that over here, Playboy. Talking on the records, dancing in the videos. Suge Knight on the set of California Love, right? So my thing was, everybody was guilty of something. It's just that now that all these things are being brought to the forefront, it's dirty business. So I feel like because they failed to protect Biggie and protect those other artists, Mace was hiding somewhere in the hotel room because his joint was surrounded by, but they shouldn't have been out there. So at the end of the day, the compensation of that, okay, we made mistakes. Security wasn't high enough. It wasn't enough this, it wasn't enough that. For whatever reason, we failed to bring this young man home, right? So if this is true, and it was charged back, that's dirty that a man had to pay for his own funeral, which he shouldn't have been dead in the first place, because shouldn't have been that. That's dirty. Now, if it didn't happen, that's an effed up lie to tell, because you're making somebody who's already in a bad light look dirty. And then on the other side, if you're telling the truth and this didn't happen, that's still gonna make it look like, why would you get on this documentary and tell that lie, right? If it's a lie, right? Because we the public don't know. Now when you go and you say, hey, if this did happen and you allowed it, man, what type of issues this? Y'all all in the same pot together? Because how you let them make that man pay for his own food? So there's ways of looking at it, right? So right now it's just this side and that side telling you two different stories, two separate accounts. And like I said, two things could be true at once. This could have happened and they might not be knowledgeable of it, right? Because if you do something like that, you have to hide it so well that when you get forensic accountants to come in and, you get somebody to open the books and they audit the label and they go to audit situations, that they won't see what that is, right? Right? Like the whole, hey, listen, we know we paid this certain amount, but we paid this certain amount, so this number ain't the same here. So they'll never see this number because this number could be put under. So it's weird ways of doing math when you want to really hide something. Like from any type of investigator, from any type of audits, it's ways of doing it. That's why we have the issues nowadays. Like somebody's making money from streaming. This is not the people we think it should be. That's just another conversation with Pete.